Mika, Chairman Reed, Chairman Winfield, Representative Koitic, along with other distinguished members of this committee. I am here today in support of 3 Senate bills, Senate Bill 413, 78, and 79. All of these bills pertain to the Connecticut Municipal Electric Energy Cooperative known as CMEC. This business, as you may know, in the 1970s, before any other alternatives were available, the legislature created an opportunity for municipal electric utilities in Connecticut to come together and form a joint purchasing agreement to allow utility companies to provide the best blended rate on the market to its municipal ratepayers. The mission being pooling purchasing power would save money, and executed properly, the ratepayer would be better served. This joint purchase power agreement became known as CMAC and was set up as a nonprofit organization. For background, CMAC is actually owned by several Connecticut municipal electric utility companies, including Norwich Public Utilities, Groton Utilities, Bosworth Light and Power, South Norwalk Electric and Water, and the 3rd Taxing District of East Norwalk, and the Jewett City Department of Public Utilities. CMAC has an estimated customer base of 70,000, many of which are distressed communities. Over the last 4 months, over 100 articles have been written by the local papers who have uncovered details about the misuse of funds, lack of transparency, and the questionable conduct by CMAC management and the board members that rises to the level of grave concern. Again, CMAC is owned by the municipal electric utility companies, and the board members are all from the utility companies. Derbygate, as it has become known, involved the expenditure of hundreds of thousands of dollars through CMAC for its staff, board members, friends, parents, and others to attend what would be charitable to call a junket to the Kentucky Derby, to the Greenbrier Resort, a famous resort in Virginia. There is now an investigation by the FBI, along with several ethic inquiries into this behavior. My concern, which I have raised with CMAC officials, is the money used to fund these trips comes from what is called margin. In this case, margin is ratepayer dollars that has not been returned to the ratepayers. CMAC has paid for 4 Derby trips, and this last one included a chartered jet, first-class accommodations, food and beverages, box seats to watch the race, all under the notion of this being a business retreat, yet there is no evidence of any business being occurred, no meeting, no agenda, and no minutes. And only 8 of the nearly 44 people who attended had anything to do with CMAC. The last trip cost nearly $350,000. Thankfully, after the papers started their investigation, CMAC canceled their trip for 2017. To most observers, this is an outrageous betrayal of the public trust. For better clarity, I requested through an FOI submission to see CMAC's budget from 2013 to present, and I attached a 2013 ruling from the Attorney General George Jepson stating that CMAC was subject to FOI. In addition, I requested invoices from CMAC to each member utility. To date, I have not received the budget from CMAC, and I have not received any of the invoices from CMAC to the member utilities. In a meeting with CMAC, I was told I would get the budget, but it would be redacted. Luckily for me, I was able to get my hands on the CMAC budget through a municipality who had left CMAC due to their high cost and overhead. Upon receipt and review of the CMAC budget, it is clear that more questions come to light. One very interesting observation was noted on the invoices that I received. When asked about this charge, CMAC confirmed it was a charge that was added under a new purchase power agreement in 2013 that all members signed on to and thought it was a good idea. This charge, which is listed as a, quote, supplier charge, adds $1 to every megawatt to the member's bill. This money is then funneled into margin and then distributed to the individual municipal electric utility companies. The municipal electric companies can choose where to put it, into a variety of accounts that are held at CMAC. To me, this is, in another sense, inflating the wholesale price offered by CMAC to increase the margin, which will ultimately be passed on to the ratepayer. And ironically, it's the ratepayer that CMAQ was originally set up to protect. In addition to this, this source of cash that funnels into the margin, there's also the for-profit portion companies that CMAQ has contracted with, such as the Mohegan, Lowell, Mass, and others. If CMAQ is contracted for services for these companies, I would expect to see a cost allocation in their budget towards these. Although looking through the budget, which I have here, there is no cost allocation applied. Therefore, 100% of the money goes to margin. Again, is CMAQ using its nonprofit status because it doesn't pay taxes that Eversource pays for profit making? It is for this reason I have requested an opinion from the Attorney General as to whether CMAQ is for-profit or nonprofit. In a meeting with CMAQ officials last Friday, I was informed of something called excess equity. Now, I've been in business a long time. I've never heard of a term called excess equity. And I was told this year that it will be $7 million. And a utility member, could receive this it's proportionate, so they could receive this in a form of a check returned to the utility company, or they could put it into one of the various accounts held at CMAQ. There's a rate stabilization account, there's an equity account, and there's something called an economic development account. My issue is there's no accountability to the ratepayer as to where this money goes or how it is used. For me, there's deep issues that must be absolutely looked at and addressed as far as transparency, structure, accountability, but most of all, to ensure that the ratepayers are the #1 priority. My bill calls for the dismantling or the reform of CMAQ. You will hear that my bill will cause rates to go up or jobs to be lost. And I take exception to that because I have with me the current rates of the municipalities in our area, one of them who left CMAQ, who now uses a different organization to do their purchasing power agreement, Wallingford, and they are the cheapest of all. You will also hear that the lights will go out if CMAQ ceases to exist, but in fact that is not true, and ISO New England would continue to provide power. It actually might even be cheaper for a period of time. So what I'm asking today really is this committee's help to ensure that the ratepayer is getting the best possible rate. I contend that the huge overhead at CMAQ, coupled with a complete lack of transparency and past actions, that this is questionable at best. I have a few suggestions to offer for structural changes. First, I believe that a forensic audit of CMAQ and the electric utility companies is definitely in order. Any funds held in accounts by CMAQ, the cooperative, and collected via rates and charges must be clearly defined in statute as to what those accounts are.
Senator.
There must be a review, I'm finishing up, must be a review and approval process for CMAQ's budget. There's a lot to get through. And rates that must be conducted outside the boardroom. CMAQ's activities should be limited to municipal electric companies. The CMAQ board should include one ratepayer from each municipality to ensure the customer's interests are incorporated into the decisions of the body. And in closing, I'm seeking the answers for my constituents and verified assurances that a $300 million ratepayer assets and cash are managed properly. What we don't know is that, all we know is what we're told from the same individuals that took these trips. We haven't been able to see anything. We haven't been able to look at any documentation. And what we do know is that these are the same people who failed to disclose the intent of these many trips. They failed to post any minutes or agendas.
Senator,
and they used ratepayer dollars to go on over $1 million of trips.
Senator,
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator.